Hello, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. For those of you who may have come in before this, I actually did entire into the Prog verse episode that I was planning to do tonight. For some reason, I had the two stacks beside each other, and I got them confused and went with that one. And then when I was done, I realized that hey, this is supposed to be Deep Purple we're doing here. So, anyways, I'm gonna redo it now. This is Deep Purple we are doing this morning. We're going to be taking on my collection of Deep Purple albums, which numbers 10, which I think is pretty average for my discography. There's quite a few bands that have at least 10. There's very few bands that I have all of. There are Rush, Yes, Genesis, and for the most part, Jethro Tull, except for the Christmas album. I have all of the stuff that I really wanted from them. But this one, Deep Purple, is a band that I kind of follow. I have my periods of time where I like them a lot, and other periods of time where I don't follow them as much. And it's the same with their albums. Some of their albums I love, others not so much. And even some of the ones I love, I go through a period where I love them a lot, and then all of a sudden I just don't like them anymore. And I don't know why that happens with them, but it does. Anyways, we're going to start with the first one that I own, which is In Rock. Maybe their best album. I think it definitely qualifies as being, if it's not their best, it's definitely top 2 or 3 for sure. This featuring, of course, Richie Blackmore, Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, John Lord, and Ian Pace. So this is the first album after the original band. They had 3 albums in the 1960s that I actually don't own, but this was the first. This is my entry point as far as the studio albums go. Now I have a live album that I listened to quite a bit before I actually started collecting Deep Purple, but this was the kind of the first album I purchased of their discography. And it's a good one to start with because there are no bad tracks on this album. Some of the stuff on here I like a lot more than other stuff. Child of Time, of course, is arguably their best song. It's definitely one of their best for sure. Bloodsucker is probably my favorite on this album. Speed King is a good song. It's a solid one, as is Hard Loving Man. Both those are solid songs. Into the Fire and Living Wreck. I've had my real interest in both of these songs at one point, and then they both kind of faded quite a bit too. Flight of the Rat is kind of a different song for me, for them. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I really don't like it. But to me, the best songs on this album are Bloodsucker and Child in Time. Very strong album, though. Cover's quite interesting, too. So the next album up is Fireball. This is a strong album. So when I first took this out, I didn't think it would be to my liking as much as some of the other albums, but this really, really hit home with me right off the bat. I liked it a lot. I don't know if it's probably a top 5 album by them for me, but at the time when I thought it was just took right off when I put it in my playlist. No, 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 fantastic tune. Strange Kind of Woman, of course, I knew that song before I put the album on. Anyone's Daughter is kind of a funny, quirky bit of a song for them. The Mule is good. Fool's another really good song, and No One Came. Yeah, this is a strong, strong album by them. A nice follow-up to their In Rock album, I think. And the same as In Rock, 7 songs. That seems to be their motto for their albums. Next up, probably the most famous of their albums, Machine Head. Another 7 songs on this one. This one has a lot of really well-known tracks on it. Highway Star, Smoke on the Water, and Space Truckin'. These are all songs that even people who are not hardcore Deep Purple fans will know. Of course, Smoke on the Water is probably the most legendary of all the tracks. It's not a track that I really ever cared much for. I recognized it because it was played all the time, everywhere you went, by various people. But the two bookend songs, Highway Star and Space Truckin', I like both of them a lot. Space Truckin' probably my favorite. It's different, but it's got that kind of bloodsucker feel to it, which I like. Maybe I'm a Leo, Pictures at Home of Home, Never Before, and Lazy, all decent tracks as well. This album didn't do as well for me, and I suspect now in hindsight that the reason it didn't do as well is because much of the material on here I had already heard plenty of times, so it just didn't get the momentum that the other two albums got. But still a solid album. Machine Head, Deep Purple. Next up, another 7 songs. So they have 4 albums in a row with 7 songs. Deep Purple, Who Do We Think We Are? So this album, good. Woman from Tokyo, of course, maybe the big track on the album. And then the rest of them, Super Trooper, Smooth Dancer, Mary Long, Rat Bat Blue, Place in Line, Our Lady, all decent tracks. So this one, I think, is one of the 2 that's currently waiting its turn in my playlist, waiting on the waiting list for my playlist. Next up, Made in Japan. This is a live album, 2 record set, but only 1 compact disc, I believe. Yeah, just 1. But originally a 2 vinyl album collection. Pretty strong. You got Highway Star, Child in Time, Smoke on the Water, The Mule, Strange Kind of Woman, Lazy, and Space Truckin'. So they picked some of their very best songs to put here live. I like Deep Purple live much better than I like Led Zeppelin live. I know that's a bit controversial, but I never really cared much for Zeppelin live. But Deep Purple, that's a different story altogether. So yeah, this is a live album. I do like this album quite a bit as well. Now we're going to move on up to the Mark III era of the band, which here features 8 tracks on this album. Trying to be a little bit different, I guess, is what they were trying to do. So Burn is the name of the album. This features Richie Blackmore, David Coverdale, Glenn Hughes, John Lord, and Ian Pace. So out of the band is Ian Gillan and Roger Glover, both gone from the band. But this is a strong album. I like this, waiting its turn in my playlist as well to go in. Kind of like this album quite a bit. Of the Coverdale ones, this is the one that I think I like the most. Pretty solid, pretty heavy album actually too. The song Burn itself is fantastic. Next up we have Perfect Strangers. So this, I believe, is the first album after the Mark II lineup came back together, featuring Richie Blackmore, Roger Glover, Ian Gillan, Ian Pace, and John Lord. So the Mark II group back together here. This is a strong album. Knocking at Your Door, really strong song. Under the Guns, good. Nobody's Home, Mean Streak, Perfect Strangers, which is, I think, the best track on the album, which is probably a good reason why they titled it that. Gypsy Kiss, Wasted Sunsets, Hungry Days, and Not Responsible. So this is the first album back after about an 8-year hiatus. And it's a good, fantastic track. And I just realized this album was recorded at the Columbia House, or was distributed at the Columbia House, distributed by Columbia House at 815 Middlefield Road in Scarborough, Ontario. Yeah, very strong album, produced by Roger Glover and Deep Purple. Next up, Masters and Slaves. So this album's a few years later. maybe 6 years later. Produced by Roger Glover. This features Ian Pace, Richie Blackmore, Joe Lynn Turner, John Lord, and Roger Glover. So obviously the use of Joe Lynn Turner, I've heard and I've listened to this a few times too. It's got a kind of a rainbow feel to it. I like rainbow, but I like my Deep Purple to sound like Deep Purple. This sounds a little bit more like rainbow than I cared for. But still a pretty solid album, just that it just doesn't have that Deep Purple feel to it much. Next up, Deep Purple Battle Rages On. So this album is from '93. It's a nice cover. I don't know how good the album actually is. Produced by Lon Panozio and Roger Glover. Just wanted to see who the members are here. I don't even know really. Oh yeah, here it is. So you've got Richie Blackmore, Ian Gillan, John Lord, Ian Pace, and Roger Glover. So the same band from No Perfect Strangers, same group of guys. This album is still relatively new to me. I've listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times, so I don't want to say too much about it, but still solid. I thought it was pretty solid when I listened to it. And the last one I have is a live album. This was the album. It's probably the first album I owned by them. An '88 live album. Deep Purple's Nobody's Perfect. Now, some people don't really like this album. I kind of like it because the songs on it were the ones that I got into. Highway Star, Strange Kind of Woman, Perfect Strangers, of course, Hard Loving Woman, Knocking at Your Back Door, Child in Time, Lazy, Black Knight, Women from Tokyo, which was probably my favorite on the album at the time. And then it ends off with Smoke on the Water and Hush. Hush, of course, coming from the pre-Mark II lineup era. But overall, a pretty strong live album for me anyways. I know that other people think they have much better stuff than this, and maybe they do, but I kind of like that live atmosphere that this album projects. So that's my Deep Purple collection for today. I do apologize for screwing it up the first time, but, you know, you get the chance to correct. I just shouldn't have had the 2 stacks beside each other because I forgot what I was doing and just started doing the Into the Progverse. So we will be back for Into the Progverse tonight at 8 o'clock. So anybody who's interested in seeing me redo it, they can come and show up then. Anyways, thanks for showing up today. Have a good one and take care. From the Prog Monster, goodbye.